Jack Van Loan was born in Eugene, Oregon in December 1931. As World War II began, while Jack was a young boy, General Hap Arnold came to dinner at Jack's parents' house. That chance encounter with the famous commanding general of the Army Air Forces would help to inspire Jack to become a fighter pilot. He graduated from Oregon State University, completed ROTC, pilot training, and was commissioned as second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. In 1966, Jack was stationed in Vietnam, and on his 75th combat mission, he was shot down over North Vietnam and was captured. Jack was tried for war crimes, found guilty, and was taken in as a prisoner of war in the Hoa Lo prison, referred to today as the Hanoi Hilton. From freezing cold to stifling heat, Jack endured imprisonment, torture, and solitary confinement at the hands of his captors. After President Nixon began bombing Hanoi, negotiations quickly began for releasing the POWs, and Jack's Freedom Day came on March 4, 1973, after 6 years as a prisoner of war. Upon returning home, Jack was promoted to full colonel and held multiple jobs in the U.S. Air Force. His highest post was Director of Operations of the 9th Air Force. After 30 years of military service, Jack retired and opened a business called The Best of Everything in the Five Points area of Columbia. He is responsible for helping to grow the Five Points St. Patrick's Day event into the successful family event it is today. Jack has been married to his best friend Linda for over 17 years.
I got to meet General Arnold one night when I was in the 6th grade, about 12 years old, thereabouts. He was at my parents' home for dinner. Really and truly unbelievable for me. My mouth, I'm sure, was just hanging open. He looked at me and he said, well, Jack, what do you want to be when you grow up? You don't tell the head of the Air Force of the free world you want to grow up and be a cab driver or something like that. I said, I want to be a pilot. And he looked at me and he said, that's great. What kind of pilot do you want to be? And show me some of my mother's irascibility. I said, I want to be a fighter pilot. And that's exactly what I did. I stayed with it. And when I got to pilot training, it was incredibly difficult for me because I was very prone to air sickness. And every time I turned around, I was barfing into a bag. And the first couple, 3 rides, all I learned was how to barf with finesse at the top of a loop without spilling a drop. And I said, I'm not going to go home and tell my dad that I quit because I had a bellyache. Then I was sent to Air Command and Staff College, which is our intermediate school. And I did well there. And they said, now we're going to send you to F-4s. And I was really excited about that because that F-4 was some airplane. It had, it was a 2-engine airplane, had an awful lot of power, and it was a genuine, no kidding, Mach 2 airplane. I went to Vietnam in 1967 as a member of the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing, my 75th mission, so I had 24 and a half to go when I got bagged. And obviously it was disappointing, get shot down and come plummeting down there. But the airplane was hit real badly. The stick froze, and I said, get out, and pulled the handle. And Joe and I came plummeting down, almost holding hands. Well, we got captured within 45 minutes of being on the ground. And there was a kid in front of us with a musket. And the end of that musket looked about that big around, And I said, don't make a false move, Joe, because if you do, 3 people are going to die, you and I and him, because that musket's going to blow up too. Well, I got captured and taken down to kind of a village nearby, and they did some preliminary interrogation, and I wasn't talking to them at all to speak of. And then they came with a Jeep and a couple of real hard-boiled guys, and I said, this is the first team, and sure enough it was. And off we went, and we went in that Jeep for around 48 hours. Never even got out of it. Finally, there we were at the Hilton, and it was obvious that was the big prison. And was taken in, told to get in this room and sit down and shut up, and just did. And here came a guy, and he said, okay, now you're going to talk to us. And I said, I'm not saying a damn thing to you. And boy, they had me in the ropes in no time flat. And it got real serious real quick. And I never been hurt like that in my life. I was a flight leader, and I had been to several targets, but I was a relatively new guy, so to speak. But they just came right after me like I was the fountain of all knowledge. And boy, they really beat me within an inch of my life. I just couldn't believe it. I thought, my God, I took the wrong turn here, you know. But eventually they, you know, I said, I'll talk to you. And, you know, so I gave them some target information. It was incorrect, number one. Number two, it was very old. And, you know, I lied. I'm a distinguished graduate of the School of Liars, Cheats, and Thieves, sponsored by the DOD. But you had to lie to save your life. You just feel you're just as helpless as can be. And you know you're at their mercy. You know, that's all there is to it. And, but I just wasn't going to cough up my guts for nothing. So I made them beat me pretty good, and I got scars all over me to show for it, too. After I was released, I came home and got my currency back flying, which took 2 or 3 weeks. And then they assigned me as assistant director of operations of a fighter wing. At the high point of my career was being the director of operation and having operational control over all the fighter aircraft east of the Mississippi River for the last couple of years I was in the Air Force. I'm grateful to the Blue Star Mothers for the job that they're doing, looking after all of us that are still alive and still doing what we're doing. And I really mean that, because that kind of support is, you know, you don't go out and buy that in a store somewhere. That only comes from very deep feeling. I'm grateful, because those were hard dues that I paid to be a part of this thing. They were really hard dues. And would I do it again? Probably. But I'm not very smart either.